Level 1, Beer League. Nobody admits they wanted to play first base. You are 34 years old. You work in insurance or HVAC or somewhere with fluorescent lighting. You signed up for the Thursday night beer league because your buddy Derek said it would be fun and because you need more fun in your life. You showed up to the first practice with a glove you borrowed from your garage, an outfielder's glove which you will not realize is wrong for another 2 weeks. The coach, a 52-year-old man named Phil, who manages a Jiffy Lube and has very strong opinions about sacrifice bunts, put you at first base during practice because you are the tallest person on the team. That is the entire decision-making process. You are 6'2". First base is yours. Phil didn't ask if you'd played there before. He didn't ask if you'd played anywhere before. He assumed. He was wrong. You played right field in middle school, and you caught exactly 1 fly ball in 2 seasons. Here is what first base actually requires: a good throwing hand, soft hands on picks, the ability to stretch your body into positions that your insurance adjuster spine does not endorse, and the spatial awareness to know where the bag is without looking at it. You have none of these things on your first Thursday. What you have is height and enthusiasm, which at this level is more than enough. You catch 9 out of 12 throws in your first game. 2 of the misses are genuinely not your fault. The third baseman throws the ball into the dirt from 90 feet away with the confidence of a man who has not done anything athletic since 2009. 1 miss is yours, and you think about it on the drive home longer than you'd like to admit. The after-game drinks happen at a bar 2 blocks from the diamond. Phil buys the first round. Someone mentions that you've got good hands. You've never been told you have good hands at anything in your life. You are back for practice Thursday. There are about 2.4 million adults playing recreational baseball in the United States this year. Most of them are 30 to 50 years old, getting slower at rates they find surprising, and playing for the exact same reason you are. Because standing in a field and throwing things at people is, it turns out, exactly what a human body was made to do, and it spent a long time sitting in a desk chair missing it. You are not being scouted. Nobody is watching. That's actually the best part. Next week, Phil is going to ask you if you can hit cleanup. You cannot hit cleanup. You will say yes immediately. Level 2. High School JV. You're 15. You're the tallest kid on the team again, 6'1" at 15, which sounds like an advantage until you discover that being tall at 15 means your growth plates are doing things that your coordination hasn't caught up with yet. You trip over yourself twice during warm-ups on the first day of tryouts. Both times, you stood up like it was intentional. First base at the high school level is the position they give to left-handed hitters who can't play the outfield, or right-handed hitters who are too slow for third, or anyone whose bat is too good to leave off the roster but whose glove creates problems. You are right-handed, left-handed hitter, and you run a 7.4 in the 60-yard dash, which is adequate. The coach puts you at first because you can already catch a ball without flinching, and at JV level, that alone puts you in the 80th percentile. The thing about first base that nobody tells you when you're 15 is that you spend a lot of time alone. Every other position has a natural partner: shortstop and second base, the 2 corner outfielders on a fly ball, third and the left fielder on a slow roller. The first baseman is an island. You're at the end of the infield. Throws come to you and end there. The play dies in your glove. You don't send it anywhere. This sounds lonely. For some people it is. For you, you realize you like it. You like being the last thing that happens on a play. You like the specificity of it. A ball gets hit, the infield scrambles, the throw comes, and your job is simply to be there. Square your hips, stretch your frame, squeeze the leather, and everything is fine. You are 15 years old and you have discovered the thing you do better than most people your age, and it is catching a baseball at a specific place on a dirt diamond, and that is enough. Your batting average is .241 junior year. You drive in 17 runs. Neither number makes anyone call your parents. But your coach, a man named Kowalski, who uses the word fundamental the way other people use punctuation, tells your father after a game in April that you have the best hands he's seen from a first baseman at this school in 8 years. Your father tells you at dinner. You do not react. You eat the rest of your meal quietly. You think about it for 6 days. The varsity coach watches you in the last 4 games of the season. He doesn't say anything to you. He just watches. You know he's there. You catch everything anyway. Level 3. High School Varsity. You are the starting first baseman on a team that goes 22-9 and loses in the regional semifinals to a school with a pitcher who is going to go in the second round next year and who throws a slider that makes your brain temporarily stop working. You face him twice. You go 0 for 3 with a walk. The walk is a moral victory. Your junior year numbers: .298 average, 11 home runs, 44 RBI. On defense, you commit 4 errors in 34 games, which is a low error rate for a first baseman at this level. Your coach submits your stats to the Regional Scouts database. 3 programs email back. One of them is a D1 school 3 hours away. The D1 email says they're monitoring your development. That is scout language for, we're watching in case someone better gets hurt. You understand this. You are not offended. You are 17. Here is the thing they measure at high school showcases that your batting average doesn't capture: your receiving profile. This is the technical term for how a first baseman handles difficult throws. Balls in the dirt, wide throws to the left, throws that arrive with the runner 6 feet away and require you to make a decision about stretching before you see where the ball is going. Most high school first basemen have bad receiving profiles. They catch the clean throw and panic at everything else. You don't panic. This is not a skill you trained. It is a temperament. Some people, when a ball is thrown badly at them, flinch. Something in the amygdala fires and the body braces. You have whatever the opposite of that is. The ball comes, your hands go to it, and your body does the math after. Scouts have a word for this. The word is feel, which means they can see it, but they can't explain it. You don't know that anyone has noticed this yet. You were just playing baseball. The email from the D1 school 3 hours away becomes a phone call in October of your senior year. The coach wants you to come visit. He mentions partial scholarship, 60%. Tuition plus room and board at that school is $36,400 a year. You do the math in your head before he finishes the sentence. You visit anyway. The field is nice. The weight room is very nice. The coach tells you something that stays with you. Every first baseman in our system who's made it to affiliated ball had the same thing in common. None of them got rattled. You sign in November. Your mother takes a photo in front of the signed letter of intent and texts it to people in her contacts who do not respond. Level 4, Division I, College. Your freshman year, you don't start. The guy ahead of you is a senior named Marcus who hits .311 and has a swing your coaches describe using the word professional in a tone of voice that is not a compliment to anyone else in the room. You watch Marcus from the dugout and you understand the gap. It's not large. It is, however, real. You hit .287 off the bench your freshman year in 124 at-bats. You work, you lift, you watch film. You eat what the program nutritionist tells you to eat, which is very good for your body and extremely bad for the part of you that genuinely enjoys chicken wings. Marcus graduates. You are now the starter. Sophomore year, .312, 14 home runs, 58 RBI. Your on-base percentage is .388. Your strikeout rate drops from 27% to 19% between your freshman and sophomore year. That drop represents roughly 300 hours of cage work, 2 swing adjustments, and a batting coach named Simmons who can see things in your hip rotation that you cannot see, and who communicates them in a language that is mostly hand gestures and mild profanity. But what gets the scouts in the seats is not the bat. It's a play in the 3rd game of your junior year conference schedule. Low throw from the shortstop, runner barreling down the line, ball hitting the dirt 6 inches to your left. You drop your left knee to the grass, drag your right foot across the edge of the bag, and scoop the ball out of the dirt at the precise moment the runner arrives. The umpire punches the air. Out. A regional scout who has been standing behind the backstop texts his director. First baseman at state has MLB hands. That text generates a follow-up visit. The follow-up visit generates an invitation to a pre-draft showcase in the spring. The showcase generates a conversation with your agent, a man you found through your teammate's father, who is a sports attorney in Atlanta and who charges 4% and has the calm demeanor of someone who has heard every version of this conversation before. He tells you to expect middle rounds. He says middle rounds like it's the weather forecast. You don't sleep well for 3 weeks. Draft day. Your family is in the living room of your parents' house. There are 36 people there who have no business being there, including an uncle out of state who heard there might be cameras and drove 6 hours. There are no cameras. You are not a first-round pick. You are watching a laptop with the sound on, waiting. The 5th round, the 6th round. Your mother stops watching and starts organizing the kitchen. 7th round, pick 14. The call comes from a 412 area code, Pittsburgh. You don't know what to say, so you say, "Yes, sir, I understand." The signing bonus is $147,500. Your agent takes 4%. You don't do the math on this one. You just say, "Thank you," and hang up, and tell your mother, who immediately starts crying in a way that suggests she has been holding that in for 6 rounds. Level 5, Single A Short Season. The complex is in Florida. The field is beautiful in the way that fields always are at 6 a.m. before anyone has sweated on them. You arrive in June and report to a coach named Battaglia, who has the face of a man who has seen exactly this moment. Young player, wide eyes, new uniform, approximately 400 times, and who has stopped being moved by it. He hands you a practice schedule. He says, "Learn to hit the breaking ball." That is his entire orientation speech. Your short season salary is $10,800 for the season, prorated from June to September. This works out to $1,200 a month. The club arranges housing. You share a 2-bedroom with 3 other players. The math on this, 4 people, 2 beds, 1 bathroom, a mini fridge stocked primarily with protein powder and the specific brand of peanut butter that was on sale at the Publix 2 miles away. Your roommates are a 19-year-old pitcher from Venezuela who speaks almost no English and is clearly the most talented person in the building, a 22-year-old outfielder from Tennessee who goes to bed at 9:30 p.m. without exception and wakes up at 5 a.m. to read Bible verses, and a catcher from Arizona who microwaves fish in the apartment at 11 p.m. and who you have decided is doing this deliberately as a power move. You play 54 games. You hit .261 with 6 home runs. Your OBP is 3.47. Your error count is 3, all on throws you tried to pick that you shouldn't have tried to pick. A habit that Battaglia addresses by standing next to you during BP and saying, "Don't," every time you attempt one for approximately 3 weeks straight until it stops. The thing about short season that no one tells you is that the attrition is visible. You can watch it happen in real time. Guys who were considered prospects in June become org fillers by August. Velocity drops, swings get long, coaches start having quiet conversations with players that end with the player looking at the ground. 2 months in, a player you've eaten lunch with every day for 6 weeks cleans out his locker on a Tuesday. No announcement, no ceremony, the locker is empty by the time you come in from field work. His name gets crossed off the whiteboard in the hallway. You do not look at the whiteboard more than you need to. You focus on the breaking ball. By August, you are hitting at 240 in practice, which means in games you're handling it around 220. Not good, but better. Battaglia says nothing about this. You take nothing as a sign you're still standing. You were promoted to full season A in November. The email comes at 8:14 p.m. on a Wednesday. You read it 4 times. Then you look up from your phone and the Venezuelan pitcher is already asleep. You don't wake him. You close the laptop and go to bed. Level 6, Full Season A and A+. This is where it gets real. Not because the previous levels weren't real. They were in the specific way that anything is real when you're living through it, but because Full Season A is the first level where the gap between who makes it and who doesn't becomes structural rather than developmental. In short season, the coaches still believe in almost everybody. In Full Season A, they have opinions. The opinions are quiet and carefully maintained, and they show up in playing time, in instruction frequency, in whether the hitting coach comes over to work with you before BP or waits for you to come to him. You do 157 games across 2 full season levels. The numbers, .291, then .291. Home runs, 13, then 18. The 18 gets attention. Home run power from a first baseman is not optional. The position is built for it. Historically, the average MLB first baseman hits between 20 and 30 home runs per season. You are at 18 in A+, which projects plausibly. Projects plausibly is the most optimistic phrase your org uses to describe your bat. Your defense is not a question. This stops being mentioned as a note and starts being mentioned as a fact. The org has internal defensive metrics, a simplified version of outs above average, and your rating over your 2 full season years is the highest at your position in the system. The catching in the dirt stat, which they track as low ball recovery rate, puts you in the top 8% of all affiliated first basemen. This number exists on a spreadsheet in Pittsburgh that you will never see. You are 23, then 24. Your left wrist starts talking to you in April of your 2nd full season year. Not screaming, just talking. A low-grade conversation happening every time you swing, a tightness that arrives around the 60th game and doesn't fully leave. You don't report it. Every player knows the equation. If you report it, they rest you. If they rest you, you don't accumulate numbers. If you don't accumulate numbers, the org makes decisions with incomplete information. You tape it. You take Advil. You adjust your load in the batting cage. Your numbers don't drop. At the end of the A+ season, the organization sends you to the Arizona Fall League. The AFL is where the top 180 prospects in baseball, roughly 6 per org, 30 orgs, spend 6 weeks playing competitive baseball while general managers and scouts watch from the stands with clipboards and an amount of coffee that suggests the human body was designed to run on this substance. You are one of the 6 the Pirates send. You are not the headliner. That's a shortstop who went 12th overall 2 years ago and whose name was on a magazine before he played a professional game. You are the first baseman who came in the 7th round with good hands and a swing that works. You hit .304 in the AFL. Your home run total is 4 in 28 games, which annualizes to roughly 21 over a full season. You don't embarrass yourself. You don't embarrass yourself at a level where 90% of the other players were drafted higher than you, and that is exactly enough. In January, the organization adds you to the 40-man roster to protect you from the Rule 5 draft. You have officially become something they don't want other organizations to take for free. That's the best review you'll ever get in this sport. Level 7, AA. AA is where you discover that the breaking ball, the one you've been working on for 4 years, the one Battaglia made you spend an entire August fixing, the one you told yourself you had figured out by the AFL, has a new version. The AA version is thrown by men who are either going to the major leagues within 18 months or are already on the way back down. Either way, they throw it on 2-1 counts, in the zone, at 87 miles per hour, and it breaks 6 inches more than your brain's internal physics model expects. You go 3 for 20 in your first week. 3 for 20 is a 150 average and the kind of start that gets conversations started in front offices. Your coach, a former MLB infielder named Castillo, who played 8 years in the bigs and who has, you will learn, a very specific patience for hitters working through adjustments, tells you nothing after the first week. He doesn't say, "We'll work through it." He doesn't say, "Everyone goes through this." He says, "Hit your pitch." That's all. You hit your pitch. Your numbers climb. By the end of May, you're at .263. By August, .278. Your OBP for the AA season finishes at .361, which is the number that matters more than the average to the people in Pittsburgh looking at your page. You drive in 59 runs in 128 games. The defensive story at AA is simply, you're the best first baseman in your league and everyone in your league knows it. Opposing coaches know it. The AA pitches know it. They trust you on anything within reasonable distance, and some of what you catch isn't within reasonable distance. A AAA pitcher on a rehab assignment comes down for 3 games and tells the equipment manager, who tells someone else, who tells your coach, that you're the best first baseman he's thrown in front of since the name of a current MLB player who you will not repeat out loud because it seems like bad luck. You put the phone down. You're in a Denny's in Altoona. You are eating a Grand Slam because you've been burning through about 3,400 calories a day, and the per diem is what it is. The Denny's is half full at 9:30 p.m. with people who are not aware that you just received the most important text of your professional life. You eat the eggs, you leave a good tip, you drive back to the hotel. The wrist is louder than last year. You've started doing a specific stretching protocol every morning that takes 22 minutes and that you found in a YouTube video posted by a physical therapist in Sacramento with 600 subscribers. It helps. You don't tell anyone about it because you don't want anyone to know your wrist needs a YouTube routine to function. Level 8, AAA. AAA is not a minor league. AAA is a waiting room that happens to have a baseball field in it. The players in AAA fall into 4 categories. The first, genuine top prospects, 21 to 24, finishing their development, who will be in the majors within a year. The second, players who were in the majors, got hurt, and are rehabbing back. The third, MLB veterans who lost their roster spot, are still under contract, and are waiting for a trade or a September call-up. The fourth, players who have been in AAA for 2 or 3 years, have not gotten the call, and whose eyes have a specific look that you cannot describe, but that you will recognize the moment you see it. You arrive as Category 1. By the end of the year, you will be the border of Category 1 and Category 4, and the distance between those 2 categories is the loneliest distance in professional baseball. Your AAA numbers, .284, 19 home runs, 67 RBI. These are numbers that in a smaller market org with a weaker 40-man would have generated a call-up in June. Your org has a first baseman on the MLB roster making $9.2 million who hit .241 last year and whose contract has 2 more years. The math on why you are in Indy instead of Pittsburgh is not complicated. It is also not something you can do anything about. You spend a lot of evenings in the visitors' locker room of AAA parks thinking about things that aren't helpful to think about. You have developed the skill, over the past 5 years, of turning that thinking off before it becomes a habit. You read, you watch film, you call your parents on nights when there's nothing else to do. In late July, the MLB first baseman goes on the 10-day IL with a left hamstring strain. Your agent calls at 7:48 a.m. You've been up since 6. Your body somehow was. Your heart rate spikes before you answer. He says, they want you up on Wednesday. You say, okay. 2 words, 4 years of professional baseball, 3 levels of minors, 412 games, roughly 1,600 hours of batting practice, a wrist that makes a sound in the morning, a YouTube stretching routine from a Sacramento physical therapist with 600 subscribers. Okay. Level 9, the show. The bus from the hotel to PNC Park is 16 minutes. You count them. Your locker is in the corner. The nameplate still has the last guy's name on it, a pitcher who was optioned 2 days before you arrived. Nobody has replaced it yet. You don't ask them to. You just hang your stuff and get dressed. Second inning. Low throw from the shortstop. Ball skipping hard off the clay. Runner bearing down at full speed. You've caught this exact throw 10,000 times. Your body doesn't ask your brain for permission anymore. You drop the knee, the glove opens at the dirt line, the ball hits leather at the precise moment your foot drags the edge of the bag. Out. The crowd makes no noise. Catching that throw is the expected outcome. Nobody applauds the expected outcome. That's the job. You waited 5 years for it. It took 1.4 seconds. The veteran outfielder in the locker next to you taps the bill of your helmet after the inning. Nothing else, just the tap. You understand that's the highest form of praise available in this building. You sit down. The hamstring on the incumbent first baseman heals in 22 days. You play 19 of them. Your line? .291 average, 3 home runs, 14 RBI, 0 errors, 0. In 19 Major League games, you do not commit a single error. The org's internal metrics rank you 8th among all MLB first basemen in low ball recovery. 4 years of tracking. Now, there's a Major League sample attached to the number. Day 22. He comes back. You fly to Indianapolis at 6:15 p.m. You are in your AAA locker by 10. You tape the wrist, you do the routine. The first base bag is 15 inches square. You gave a decade to a 15-inch square piece of canvas on a dirt diamond. You would do it again without thinking. That's how you know it was real.